is QFS Transportation High School Hoops, driven by Cruz Chevrolet on My TV Charleston.
It's been 20 days since the students in the Chop House and the players for the Warriors played on their home floor here at Wando. And now they get to finish out region play with 4 consecutive games in region play on this floor for a sprint for the Region 7 5A championship. Welcome inside. Darren Goldwater alongside Natalie Spalla. There are 3 teams in Region 7 5A with identical 3-1 records. Goose Creek, Cane Bay, Wando. The only Cane Bay loss in region play to these Warriors. It's time for revenge tonight.
It is time for revenge, using by just 1 point. 20 days ago, like you mentioned, or 2 weeks ago, until when that was the last time these two teams saw each other. So that is going to be the name of the game for this Cobra team. Revenge, and they want it tonight. Sean
McKean told me that game, that loss for the Cobras, probably a blessing in disguise. It refocused this team. They haven't lost since, and Rob McLeod is the one that paces McKean's bunch. As McLeod goes, these Cobras go.
And that's exactly right. He is the engine that makes them go. McKean says he's the hardest worker really on the team. He's a guy that really sets the tone for others. He wants it bad. His players and his teammates, they know he wants it bad, and they want it bad as well.
McLeod's the 3rd leading scorer in Region 7 5A. Davenroy for Wando is the top scorer in Region 7 5A. He's averaging 15 a game. He's getting 5 boards a game. They're 2 of 5 top 10 scorers in the region that we'll see in this game tonight.
And Davenroy, he was out all of last year with a busted knee, thanks to travel ball, of course, we know that. But he's a guy coming back with the vengeance. Another guy who really wants revenge on really his whole last season. He's coming back as a junior, but he's another one that's going to be a great and exciting player to watch tonight.
You touched on the 1-point victory the first time these teams met. That game was played in the 50s. That's how Wando wants it. Cane Bay wants it up and down. They want it in the 70s. We'll get you to break and get you back for the start of QFS Transportation High School Hoops, driven by Cruz Chevrolet. A season of firsts for the Cane Bay Cobras. This year was the first time they've ever been ranked in the state's 5A rankings. They're back into the rankings as well. The new rankings released today. They slid back in at number 9 after knocking off previously number 9 Goose Creek. Speaking of the season of firsts, this Cane Bay team has more wins than they've ever had. They have 16 of them. They've never won a region championship. They're shooting for one. They've never beaten Goose Creek, West Ashley, and Somerville. They've done all of that. now with a 3-1 record in region play. Revenge on their mind here against the Warriors, against Warzinski's group. In his 7th year, Warzinski's club has lost 2 straight, but knocked them off 55-54 the last time these teams played. He told me without any question, he said, listen, they're going to try and get into us, the Cobras are. They want this game up and down. We need to defend. We need to make them play in the half court.
And that's really their motto they've adopted this year. He tells me that their motto is being just that junkyard dog. They're going to get after you. They're going to be scrappy. They have a very undersized team. They're smaller than a lot of the teams that they see this year. But he says he's using that, and his guys are really using that to advantage, just playing that hard, all 4 quarters, just nonstop, defense, offense, you name it. But I want to add to your seasons of first, because this guy right here on the screen, it's also his first season as head coach. Perhaps the most important first out of all of them. But he sure has turned things around. It's going to be exciting to see where this squad really goes this year and in years to continue.
That's how I started the conversation with him. I said, look, man, the team is playing better than historically they've played. What's different? Other than you being on that different seat, sliding up the seats on the bench, what's different about this team? And he pointed to last year. This team had 3 different 2-week COVID pauses.
Right.
They never were in any type of a rhythm. Because of that, his son got a little bit extra run because they had to bring kids up from JV. His son played 10, 11 games on varsity last year, and now is one of the bona fide leaders of this team that features seniors top to bottom on this roster. He says they want it. That's the biggest difference, that this group, partially because of last year, partially because they're veterans and they have this sense of this is our final ride together, they want it, and you can see it in the weight room, you can see it on the practice courts, and you can see it on the floor. And he told both of us before this game, I just want us to come out and play hard. I think I can promise we'll come out and play hard. The question is, will we get the result we're looking for here at the end?
Right, there's no doubt this team is going to play hard, and I have a feeling that sting from their loss just 2 weeks ago to this Wando team, that's really going to be on their minds tonight.
We've got a pretty good sense of who the starting lineup is going to be. Brought to you by Roper St. Francis Hospital, where experience matters. There's a look at the starters for Cane Bay. There was a late change. Jordan McKean is in the starting lineup. You see number 11. He's wearing number 21 tonight. Rob McLeod leads him in points, assists, and rebounds. Christian Smith is a guy who's just kind of grown into his body. Suddenly has become one of the better athletes on this team. Cane Bay will go 7-8 deep. They not too much past that. Slightly deeper than what you'll see from Wando. The Warriors have won 4 straight since the loss to Wando. You have Yashawn McKean. He'll tell you their best game of the year. It might be a loss. They played Fort Dorchester, played them tight. You saw Fort Dorchester on QFS Transportation. High school hoops driven by Cruz Chevrolet just a couple of weeks ago, knocking off Cruz Creek and the talent on that team. They were in that game at the end, had a chance, and it slipped away from them, eventually falling by 5. But he said that, similar to the loss to Wando just a couple of weeks ago, those are things that this team can point to. They tend to feel good about themselves when they're playing well and need to refocus every now and then. And that's something he's kind of got in the back of his mind as heading to the second half of the game. Oh, look at your Roper St. Francis starting lineup for the Wando Warriors. Calvin Davenroy, we already touched on him, the leading scorer in the region. 15 points, 5 boards, and a couple of steals per game. And the best 3-point shooter on the team is Davenroy. That is Will Hill, one of 3 different seniors that starts on this team. Will considered one of the leaders of this group. Hard to stay in front of him when he's trying to take you off the bounce. Andy Bumgarner wears number 2. Ben Allen, the most made threes on the team. And there's Davenroy, a 6'2", 178-pound junior. As Natalie pointed out, Davenroy did not play last year because of a knee injury. Similar, in fact, to Will Hill. Hill, now a senior, didn't play as a sophomore, had a bounce-back, superb junior year that saw him land on the all-region team Hill was preseason all-region coming into his senior year. It's a similar experience that Davinroy is going through, having missed a year and now coming back and leading this team in most categories.
And that's something, I mean, you never want to see a kid get injured, of course, but having them come back, I mean, they're coming back with a new mentality, a new, really just looking at this game a whole different way, because, of course, you never want to sit out a game. But to be in that position of sitting out not just 1 or 2 games, but a whole season, you're going to come back a whole new player this time around.
Neither team is especially big. Wierzinski pointed out to both of us numerous times that they're not that big, and Cane Bay has the size advantage. But there's not a ton of size for Cane Bay either. A little bit more hops you'll see in the Cobras. Wando hasn't had a dunk all year, and they played 18 games. First touch for Xavier Adams. They'll launch it up from 3. Cane Bay will. That's strong from Jordan McKean. And cleared away by Andy Bumgarner, one of 3 seniors that starts for the Warriors. They only played about 6 guys, any type of impactful minutes in the first matchup with Cane Bay. You see a lot of teams shorten up their bench as you get into region play, and we got a foul here that'll put Davinroy at the line.
And I know head coach Sean McKeon, he had said that there were 3 guys really on his team that he just doesn't know how they keep going. They have motors that just don't stop, and 2 of those were McLeod and Christian Smith. But when you only play with 6, 7 guys, I mean, you need people that have a motor.
67% free throw shooter is Davinroy. He had 18 with 7 boards and 5 steals when the 2 played at Cane Bay. Our first one will probably be a few. Will Lou Gray Opportunity School free throws. And he opens hitting 1 out of 2. Off the bounce and a blow by and an offensive foul. If that's Christian Smith, it is. That is 2 quick fouls on Christian Smith.
Davinroy getting in there probably the last possible second, but he got in, got himself straight up. It's good hustle play.
Smith is the 10th leading scorer in the region. And he stays in there with a couple of fouls 1 minute into the game. Davinroy rolls that off and then ties up the rebound. The possession arrow favors the Warriors. It took Sean McKean a minute, but he's decided to go with Jabari Green to sub out Christian Smith. Something to keep an eye on when one of your key contributors at 8 points a game goes out with 2 fouls a minute into the first half. Junior Davinroy. And this is Will Hill off the mark. Here's McLeod. That's turned away at the rim by Bumgarner. And we're staying on this end. Because of a quirk in the schedule, the last region game for the Warriors that they played was supposed to be here. It ended up getting flipped. So they'll play 4 straight region games to close region play on this floor where they haven't played in 20 days. So Wando feels like, all right, here we go. We can put a little run together and see if we can't get the folks in the chop house here behind us.
And that's really the best case scenario, because you always think, hey, let's take care of business at home. Maybe we can sneak in a win here or 2 on the road, especially here where competition is so fierce. And that's exactly what they did over at Cane Bay. Wando winning that game by just 1 point.
Allen's floater is short, and it's saved in by Cane Bay. Just a 1-0 game here. It was a Davinroy free throw after one of 2 quick fouls from Christian Smith. One of the first touches for Xavier Adams. Same can be said for Aaron Hardy, and certainly the first for Jabari Green. Number 13 in black, known more for his defense. The pass intended for him is ripped away by Hill. A 2-on-2, a little Euro step for Hill, and the first field goal of the game, courtesy of Will Hill.
And that's just a beautiful play. Orzinski says he's their point guard, he's their leader out there, also one of their more athletic guys, and he gets to the hole when he wants, and you saw it happen right there.
Nifty find there by Xavier Adams underneath. And that'll put Aaron Hardy at the line. Hardy, a guy who McKean said, without a doubt, is our most improved player. He said leaps and bounds from last year. And in his words, it's been amazing improvement, what he's seen from 2021 here into 2022. And Hardy has the first points of the night for McKean's group. Only averaging 5 a game. He's more impactful around the rim. He leads the team in rebounds. By the way, that foul committed by Ben Allen. So far, this is the tempo the Warriors were hoping for. They wanted to make Cane Bay play in the half court. They wanted to force Cane Bay to play against their zone. And now they've drawn the third foul of the game. That'll put Quentin Dugdale at the line.
And this is really that junkyard mentality, that junkyard dog mentality that Orzinski said is really their motto this year. It's what is keeping them going, is that just them getting to the rim. They're going to be scrappy. They're going to find their lanes, and they're going to utilize them. And so far we're seeing it. They're getting themselves to the free throw line.
Southpaw Dugdale makes it a 4-2 lead. Dugdale plays a bunch of minutes. He played 28 of them in the first game against Cane Bay. Doesn't score a ton, but one of the valuable contributors. Inside, McKean loses it. And they'll turn it over. Extra step for Bumgarner with 4:28 to go in the opening quarter.
Great job by Xavier Adams keeping his feet moving there.
There's one similarity between both coaches. They were a multi-year assistant at their schools before being elevated. Orzinski, though, has been the head man for Wando for 7 years. He's been here for 15. As Natalie pointed out, McKean is the head coach in his first season in that role, but was an assistant for 5 prior to that, as Bumgarner rips one down with the right hand and pulls it in front of C.J. Bennett-Schaefer.
And rebounding was one of the things that Orzinski said his guys would need to do, limiting Cane Bay to one-shot opportunities. It's going to be a huge part of this game.
Bennett-Schaefer got him back, turning away that shot, but Wando ends up continuing its possession. Here's Davenroy's mid-range. He'll put that in over McLeod.
Quite the size advantage over McLeod, I'd say. He thought about it, saw it, and pulled the trigger on that one.
Bennett-Schaefer slides it across the lane to the senior Jabari Green. Wando's at 9-9, they're 3-1 in the region. 16-6 are the Cobras. Hill's off balance shot falls down to Cane Bay.
And it's one of those things, you look at these records and you think, Wando 9-9, but one of the best teams in the region, there's no way. But they've really had a very tough non-region schedule.
Another turnover for Cane Bay. You can see where Wando pays its bills, if you will. It's on that defensive end of the floor. Here's Davenroy now up in traffic. Bennett-Schaefer gets a hand on one, and it's Bumgarner here. The leaner won't fall. The rims have lids, although Cane Bay hasn't put up a ton of shots. Turnovers have been a problem for him here in the opening 8 minutes.
And McKean said shooting is not really their strong suit. They want to attack the rim, and that's exactly what happened there. Put 2 on the board.
Rob McLeod, the smallest guy on the roster, but the most potent offensively, has his first 2. He's the team's leading scorer at 13 a game, and he ties the game for the first time tonight. Davenroy has 3 of the 6 for the Warriors. Thought about a long 2. Instead on the run, it's Will Hill. Cobras have to finish up region play with 3 of their 4 on the road. Quite the opposite for Wando as Bumgarner, the first to the floor to pick up the loose ball. We got a jump, and it will be Wando possession on the tie-up. Both coaches have adjustments to make. Defense is dominating the first 6 minutes and change at QFS Transportation High School Hoops. Kane Bay's garnered more headlines, but this Wando team with a 500 record, still the same 3-1 in region play, they're the ones that have dictated the tempo here in the first 6 minutes and change. Just like Wierzinski told us today, he said we need to make them play us in our half court. That's exactly what's happened. I'm not charting turnovers, but it's in the 5 or 6 range in the first 6 minutes. That was nearly another. It's going to stay on this end of the floor.
And just playing simply just smart is another key factor that Wierzinski said would play a big role in this game, and really limiting their turnovers, which they've done a great job of so far, and not only limiting their own, but causing some others on Kane Bay's side.
Keep in mind, Christian Smith, who's one of the impactful players for the Cobras, he picked up 2 fouls in the first minute of this game. Nice dish underneath. Adams, the dunk falls off from Hardy. That one off the foot of C.J. Bennett-Schaefer. Davenroy, a clean look from the wing.
Straight on, just not enough.
Wando's had some looks.
But that's another thing Wierzinski said, this isn't a shooting team. He doesn't have guys that can really light up the floor. But what they do so well is that they just play together.
Jabari Green hits the deep 2. He's got 4 to lead the Cobras, and it's the first lead of the night for Kane Bay. 6 straight points for Kane Bay. Here's Dugdale. He got through on the bounce, but lost control. And a foul will be whistled on Bumgarner. That'll be the first on Bumgarner. Part of the reason for the turnaround for this Kane Bay team, we touched on last year and the struggles dealing with their 3 different 2-week pauses. But then the adjustment in scheduling for Sean McKean. He said he's filled out his schedule, as many games as possible. Another bunny rolls off for Hardy, who missed a dunk on the last possession. So he filled out the schedule, plus in the offseason, he kept him as busy as he was allowed to keep him between camps,
right,
scrimmages. any of the off-season events that the Cobras could go to. They went to all of them. And all of that has kind of led to this mindset of kind of the final ride together for a very senior-laden group.
And that is really one thing this pandemic these coaches have been put through the absolute ringer for sure, but keeping their guys engaged in a season that is just the most abnormal it can get, and really keeping that, I mean, players can go off and do their own things, they can play individually, but really that team, that culture, that's really what matters when it comes to getting these guys out here on the floor. So making sure that was maintained, even if they weren't able to do so in a normal setting, that was just so important for him. And right now it's shown in their record and in their numbers so far.
I'm not sure what that pause in the action was for. There was some confusion. There was a conversation with the official scoring table. How about that rejection from Cooper Biller? Nothing easy on the inside for Kane Bay. Here comes Ryan Richard. Davenroy as the loose ball finds him. And a traveling violation with a second to go in the quarter.
Points have been hard to come by this first quarter, but the defense is keeping things interesting for sure. It hasn't been anything close to a snoozer over here.
Yeah, they've slogged their way through it offensively. Wando has 2 field goals. Kane Bay's got the last 6 points. That's into the student section of the Chop House, and it's an 8-6 lead for the Cobras through the first 8 minutes, as the Cobras played without one of their mainstays, Christian Smith, for 7 of those minutes, thanks to 2 early fouls. Cobras trying to avenge an earlier season loss to the Warriors on QFS Transportation. High School Hoops driven by Cruz Chevrolet. A lot of the players on this team call Sean McKean Coach Sean. He's known a lot of these young men since they were in elementary school. He's coached them in multiple different sports. He's been an assistant on the varsity basketball team here for 5 years before being elevated to the head job. He's also an assistant on the football team. And he pointed out when we were talking about Xavier Adams, he's coached him and known him since he was 7 years old in 3 different sports.
I guess that's what happens. He said, I have 4 boys, so they have kept him busy for the last 20 plus years. They have all been active. Of course, his son Jordan is on the team. As a junior, he's also got another kid in high school and 2 that have graduated. So if you want to stay active, just have kids, I guess. They'll keep you busy.
Well, they'll keep you busy, but I don't know about active outside of that.
Okay.
This is Ben Allen.
Great patience by Allen there. Drawing the foul and sending him to the line.
3 points in the first matchup. This is his first points of tonight. Another Will Lou Gray Opportunity School free throw, a rich tradition of individualized learning. How about that roll? That might be the most exciting free throw made around the country tonight.
I was going to say someone struck gold up there, but
a roar erupts and a tie-up will just keep the Chop House busy. Possession stays on this end of the floor.
Marzinski said this crowd was going to mean something here tonight. I think I got a little indication what he meant by that just now.
Here's McLeod elevating and with the body control avoids Davenroy. Four for McLeod. 5'8" senior has to shoulder even more of the load right now. Christian Smith remains on the bench with a couple of fouls. Bumgarner with the answer. Now we've got a little rhythm here.
I was gonna say, here comes that offense. We'll take it. So far, each team has done a substantial job at just mimicking the other team, whether it was getting stops on defense, getting some turnovers, scoring some points. We've seen both now.
Davenroy gets into Jabari Green. Now knocks it free on the floor. It's won by Cane Bay. Bennett Schaefer kicks it out, and they'll reset in the hands of the junior Jordan McKean. And now Rob McLeod.
Got everyone on the perimeter. Make way.
Quick first step from McLeod. Gets him to the rim. Here's McKean, short from 10. Ben Allen had that one pop right off his face.
Moving a little too quick.
And a foul. It'll be McLeod heading to the line.
The tempo of this one has picked up substantially. Let's get a look at this. Just a strong take to the basket.
I believe that foul went against Bumgarner. They do something interesting here as McLeod now has 5. They don't announce the fouls. I don't know if that is a school theory, not announcing the foul to the crowd in high school. That's possible. They put it up on the scoreboard, or have been. Best I could tell, the officials signaled number 2. Couple of Will Lou Gray free throws from McLeod. He's got a game-high 6 and a 2-point lead for the Cobras. We're getting close to matching the first quarter point total in 3 minutes in the second quarter. There's Bumgarner. Strong take for the senior.
Just a smart play right there.
As the scoring picks up, so does the tempo, and that falls into the hands of Cane Bay as Bennett Schaefer knocks in his first 2.
These guys are finding the basket now. We didn't see much of, I mean, in terms of even shots in the first quarter of this game, but both teams are really finding their rhythm and finding,
that's a good idea.
A great connection there to Bumgarner.
McKean runs in a quick sub.
Just super smart, saw the defender move to his right. Over here on the other end.
Bennett Schaefer had a good game in the first matchup, had 10 points, 5 boards. Scramble situation, ball finds Jordan McKean on the wing. 48th 3 of the year, his first 3 points of the night. And the largest lead for Cane Bay. Cane Bay had 8 points in the first quarter. They've got 9 here in the second quarter in 4 minutes. Less, 3 minutes. And it's the second on McKean. So one Cobra on the bench, Christian Smith with a couple of fouls, and now McKean's got 2. But here he is on the other end. The follow's there. And it's Schaefer's got 4.
Cleaning it up. And there's a timeout now. Now, Orzinski said his guys, a big factor of this was going to be limiting those second chance opportunities. And let's take a look at it. Way to push the ball. McKean just rolls off the rim. But Bennett is there to put it home.
If you go back to, I don't know, about the 3-minute mark of the first quarter, Wando led at 6-2. It's a 17-6 run now for the Cobras to get them out to a 19-12 lead. The 2 guards, McLeod and McKean, have keyed that. And off the bench, there have been Jabari Green and CJ Bennett Schaefer contributing 8 points off the bench for the Cobras. But I think the biggest difference, Natalie, the pace of this game, the second quarter is exactly how Cane Bay wanted to play. The first quarter is what Wando wants.
And you got to think that that is exactly what head coach Orzinski was talking about to his guys. Hey, slow this down. We don't necessarily need to play at the pace that they want us to play at, what they want to play at. Let's stick with our game. And really that, what their game is moving the ball, finding their own rhythm.
Hill hangs in the air, then out to the perimeter. With the extra pass, it's Bumgarner. Bennett Schaefer up above the rim.
And that's that ball movement I just mentioned, is that Orzinski said his team thrives with moving the ball. Let's get a few passes before we do something with it.
Here's Will Hill, shorts it. That ball was affected by Rob McLeod. And now here's McLeod on the other end, gliding in. A play on both ends for the senior. He's got a game-high 8.
He is feeling himself now, and that was the engine that McKean says his team circulates around, makes his team go. And you just saw him taking control of things on both ends of the floor.
Gavin Roy fights through a hand on the ball from McKean, forces that one through. Badly needed bucket there for Wando. Inside underneath. Xavier Adams is on the board with a pretty reverse.
And these teams are just trading buckets now. Probably the biggest possible shift from the first quarter.
Here's Will Hill now. Everything at the rim contested here for the Warriors. Christian Smith now back on the floor with those 2 fouls. He's tied up but kicks it back up top. McLeod loses it and regains it. It'll stay Cobra ball. Off the arm of Quentin Dugdale with 2:56 to play here in the opening half. 23-14, Cobras trying to exact revenge on the Warriors on QFS Transportation High School Hoops. Driven by Cruz Chevrolet. You know, it's funny, the Chop House came alive when Bumgarner hit a couple of free throws, right? At that point, it was, I think, a 10-10 game. Maybe it was when it was 10-8 at that point, but it was 10-10. Once we got to 10-10, it's been 13-4 in favor of the Cobras, but the Chop House has stayed lively as Cane Bay drives right at them and continues to extend their lead.
And it's been interesting. I mean, I looked around like, did we miss something important? I mean, granted, free throws, I mean, take them as they are, but.
Smith, uncontested underneath.
And that's not how you want to come out from a timeout if you're the Warriors. Easy too.
First double-digit lead of the night. Short from Bumgarner. Out on the run are the Cobras. Jordan McKean has it swiped away. Biller came from behind to lead a run out for the Warriors.
And what a hustle play that was. Looked like it was going to be an easy 2 on the board.
First touch for Sean Jefferson, just into the game to give the Warriors an inside presence. And it'll stay on this end with 2:12 to go in the opening half.
And during the break, that's exactly what the Chop House wanted. They were chanting, "We want Sean, we want Sean." Well, Coach, I guess he listened over there, so we got Sean in the game.
The Warriors wanted him there too, except it's knocked away by Bennett Schaefer. He goes coast to coast.
Nice little finger roll there.
It was an 8-6 lead after a quarter. And the second quarter has been markedly different in pace and offensive efficiency for the Cobras. A 13-point lead as Warzinski tries a couple of different combinations. Ryan Richards in the game, that's a turnover. Adams fouled by Jefferson, no call, it's going back the other way to the Warriors. He bodied him up in good position.
He went right at Jefferson, and here's that replay. He said, "Not today." Maybe that could have been the spark that this team needs, this Wando team, as Jefferson exits the game.
Warzinski gave his 2 starters who just came back in a little bit of a breather. Davenroy's back in. He replaces Jefferson. Costello into the game. That was his first touch.
And Davenroy has quite the size advantage on McLeod. Gonna have to see if they utilize that.
Quick first step there for McLeod. It opens up a corner 3. And a foul here on the floor. They got Will Hill. That's the 3rd foul on Hill. Although I'm not sure Hill's in the game. He's not. So that is not the right call.
Check that.
It was Costello. I'll put it down correctly.
Darren's working hard over here.
You do what you can. 60 seconds left here in the first half. 9th ranked team in the region in South Carolina. That's the Cobras. Goose Creek's been ranked this year. Wando, who's tied with them at the top of the standings, they're the one of the 3 that haven't been ranked. First points for Ty Cullen. Brings them within 11. Here's a deep 3 from McKean. Dugdale deflected. Davenroy collides with Dugdale. Biller comes away with it. And with 25 seconds left in the half, it'll stay with the Warriors.
This Warrior team, they might be down 9, but they want it. They haven't given up or given in anything.
Warzinski's trying a couple of different combinations here with Biller on the floor, getting some extended run. He's got Cullen on the floor. Richard's been out there. Costello's been out there. So the Warriors have extended their bench maybe a little bit farther than Wrzinski probably thought he might in the first half at least. But it was dictated by the fact that Cane Bay got out here in the second quarter, Natalie, and ran out to what grew as large as a 13-point lead just a couple of minutes ago.
And that's really what you have to do as a coach. You have to adapt. You got to see what the other team's doing and really how your guys are responding. And if the response that you're seeing isn't exactly what you want, I mean, you got to do something. And that's what he's doing.
The timeout came from Sean McKean and the Cobras to settle up their defense for this final possession. And the question is, A, does Wando want to hold for the final shot? B, if they do, will Cane Bay's pressure force them into a turnover? Just like that, Cane Bay gets it back with 22 seconds left in the half.
And that's probably a worst case scenario if you're Wando.
Trying to set up a final possession with 25 seconds left, use 3 of them and give it away. McLeod led all scorers with 8 points.
You got a packed perimeter.
Nice move from McLeod. He's into double figures with the left. As advertised, McKean with 1, doesn't get it off and takes a hard fall. Attacking the rim at the horn. Falls down hard on that right hip.
And McKean is angry. He wanted a foul right there in those final seconds.
And his dad's not a big fan of it either. The reality is, that happened after the horn. The horn sounded prior to the contact. The horn sounded prior to the ball leaving his hand. And it takes a team effort here to calm down Jordan McKean. The Cobras take a 29-16 lead into the half on QFS Transportation High School Hoops, driven by Cruz Chevrolet.
Welcome to another season of basketball, another season of Scholar Athletes with David Ayler from the Ayler Law Offices. Another year here we are, have given out over 6 figures of money to these Scholar Athletes, and each and every time it's special.
Yeah, it's great. Each year is great because you have so many amazing students, but you have new students and different students with different experiences. So it's always interesting to see what they're doing in the classroom, what they're doing on the field or the court, and then more importantly, what they're doing out in the community.
Crazy thing is, when we started doing this, these kids were in middle school, so they've kind of grown up seeing the Scholar Athletes, and we've seen the Scholar Athletes grow up as well.
I think you just said we were old, but essentially I agree. But yeah, it's amazing to think, how long we've been doing it, and really, if you look at these people's, careers with scholastically and everything else, it really starts in middle school.
Absolutely. David Ayler with the Ayler Law Offices presenting our Scholar Athletes.
29-16, Cane Bay leads. Unfortunately, the Cane Bay community, similar to that of Wando many years ago, hit with one of the unfathomable tragedies that has struck the nation, probably the world, and opioid abuse. Justin Shelton, the second son of David Shelton, to have succumbed to the disease, and David has now made it his mission to get out in front of this, to educate parents, to educate students about the dangers and pitfalls of opioid use. And there is a scholarship now set up in the name of Justin Shelton for the Cane Bay baseball program. If you are interested in donating to that or finding out more about the cause, you can find David Shelton on Twitter. He is open to talking to anyone. You can also find the Booster Club for Cane Bay very easily, and you can find quite a tribute penned by his dad, who is an accomplished writer in the area, by searching for that as well. Point lead for the Cobras that matched their largest lead. They had two different 13-point leads there towards the end of the second quarter. Each week, David Ayler Law Offices, Riders Law Group, proud to highlight scholar athletes from each participating school. The students selected have an opportunity to win a $2,500 scholarship at the end of the season. Tonight's R will give you Wando's, and it's Bumgarner with a 4.7 GPA for Bumgarner. He was part of the region championship team in 2020, 2 years ago, and is now one of the seniors that leads this group. He had 2 points in the first half. I will point out that Rob McLeod, even though we're not sure the scholar athlete from the Cobras, I'll point out that McLeod, their leading scorer tonight for the Cobras, is also not only a captain but part of the National Honor Society. So we'll throw that in there for his David Ayler Law Office's scholar athlete mention. Some first half highlights. It starts with the Cobras. This game started pretty slowly here in the first quarter.
It sure did, but we really did see things heat up in the second quarter. And Wando really started to utilize what they needed to. They needed to slow down the ball. They needed to kind of move the ball is really what their coach says is kind of their bread and butter. But this Cane Bay team came in hot.
They finished off with Christian Smith back on the floor. That was part of their struggles in the first quarter. He picked up 2 early fouls. But you see a trend here with Cane Bay getting out and running. That's what happened in the second quarter. That's how they built this lead. That's eventually 13 points. Heading to the second half here, QFS Transportation High School Hoops driven by Cruz Chevrolet. Sean McKean's calmed down. His son, Jordan, who took a hard fall at the end of that first half, he's bouncing around. He looked good going through warm-ups to begin this second half. So from that standpoint, that looks okay. Leading scores for the Cobras, McLeod has 8, 4 off the bench for Green. Bennett Schaefer off the bench with 6. That was a big lift in the absence of Christian Smith. Not a lot of points to highlight here for the Warriors. They only have 16 of them. 5 from Davin Roy, 2 apiece from Allen and Bumgarner and Will Hill. Dugdale chipped in 1. It was an 8-6 lead through a quarter. Wando at one point led 6-2. Once we hit the second quarter, the Cobras were able to get out and run. The tempo ticked up, and it played into their hands.
And look for Christian Smith really making his presence known this second half. Coach McKean said he's their most talented player.
Dangerous ball to start the half, and Will Hill brings it in for the Warriors. Warriors have lost 2 straight, but their last one against West Ashley was a non-region game. They rested some lingering injuries. Didn't seem to bother Wierzynski too much.
This has been an unforgiving rim for Will Hill. Multiple opportunities in the first half where he got to the basket. He did his job. The hard part is really getting there, but laying it off the rim and perhaps the closest possible way, and there it is. A 3 from senior McLeod.
McLeod just hoists that up. And the Cobras are doubling up the Warriors here as McLeod.
Let's take a look from way downtown. And 9 times out of 10, if you're a defender, you don't need to go out there.
Wierzynski was wary of it. Not only has he seen this team already, but he's seen them on film. He said, they'll take it. He said, you put them 5-6 feet behind the arc, they'll hoist it up. We've seen it a few times tonight. Here's Davin Roy. Got a step, got a foul, and a 3-point try for Davin Roy. Aaron Hardy's whistle for the foul.
And just a smart move. Great IQ if you're a basketball player. You see your defender, take that extra step, get a little up. That's when you attack him, you take it right to the rim, and very smart play by the junior.
Davin Roy, you feel like, has to have a pretty big second half here if the Warriors want to climb out of what was a 16-point hole. Will do great. Opportunity school free throw gets him to 8 points on the night.
He's also a 44% three-point shooter. So extremely impressive there.
Aaron Hardy crosses the lane, a little bit strong from 8 feet away. A lot of the Warriors are pretty comfortable handling the ball. Wierzynski points out often they don't have a ton of size, but they do have maneuverability. The follow from Will Hill.
And those are those hops you don't really see from this Wando team, but I think Hill's got enough hops for all of them out there because he got up.
Almost the first dunk of the year for the Warriors. He could have.
I think he could have too.
He was there.
He was up there.
Davin Roy switches out on McLeod. Got a hand in his face. That three-pointer rims down back to the Cobras. 5 straight points for the Warriors. It's their longest run of the game. It's an offensive foul.
McKean doesn't like it. Just got up there. I kind of wanted to see him throw it down a little bit.
Oh, he was there. All-region last year. He was preseason all-region this year. Hill's got 4. He averages 11. Can the Warriors build on this little spurt of theirs? 5 straight right now.
And this is a fun matchup we're seeing here tonight. Hill and McLeod. Both guys are about the same size and really the same athletic ability too.
Hill got a step on McKean. A lot of contact there at the rim as Smith pulls down the loose ball. At 6'4", Smith is basically a guard. He's been a guard his whole life. He's just had a growth spurt.
Off his knee, going the other way.
McKean needs a timeout. He knew this place would be loud. The Warriors wanted it loud.
Yes.
And maybe that's playing a part in the early half struggles here for Cane Bay.
Even into the locker room, their coaches went over to the student section and said, "Hey, let's get our arms up. Let's be loud." And I think that played a role today. That this crowd is really behind these guys, and they needed to be. They knew that this Cane Bay team is all business, and they knew that they needed to take advantage of having this game here at home. It was hard enough on the road. They were lucky enough to sneak in a victory over there at Cane Bay. But hey, you got to use home court advantage to your advantage. It's a real thing.
I like the timeout from McKean there. His team is still comfortably in front, and it's a veteran group. But you could sense that they're a little bit out of sorts. It could go back to that hard foul at the end of the half.
Right.
And some carried over emotions here into this half. Could be multiple factors, but I like the timeout, and right out of the timeout, Cane Bay comes away with it.
I think we're going.
Got a foul on the Warriors.
McKean doesn't like it. I don't think.
They got a foul on Cane Bay.
Yeah.
Xavier Adams is whistled for it. So 3 fouls on Cane Bay here in this quarter.
Let's get a replay. No one in control of the ball. I'm not really sure.
Didn't help their case that it was right in front of the Cane Bay bench.
Right.
Either. Here's Davenroy on the curl. That's knocked out of bounds. You can sense a different purpose with the Wando team in this second half. Davenroy thought that was down. Adams and 3 Warriors converge for the rebound. That's Bumgarner's officially. Bumgarner, after the board, coast to coast, doesn't hit the rim. Up ahead to McLeod, gets hit hard. Will Hill was up in the air and out of position. It was an inevitable foul that'll put McLeod at the line.
Oh, yeah. And you're really seeing the tempo of this one. Both sides really are doing the same thing here. Cane Bay goes court to, or baseline to baseline with it. Wando wants to do the same thing. So they're really mimicking what the other team is doing. And I'm not sure that's exactly what these coaches want from their teams. They want them to stay with what they know, what they should be doing. And so far, both teams are really reciprocating what the other is doing. As we see McLeod miss his second.
An opportunity to extend the run. That goes begging from Bumgarner. And the Cobras have it with 4:33 to go in the third quarter.
And that's not typically the offense Brzezinski wants his guys to run. A quick shot right off. They usually want to utilize that ball movement.
Inside with the elevation at the free throw line. Adams can't put that one down. This rim hasn't been nice to anybody.
It really hasn't, no.
Wando couldn't find it in the first half. Cane Bay finding it equally troublesome here in the second half. Davenroy works against Adams, and we've got an offensive foul. First on Davenroy. Earlier today in this gym, the Cane Bay ladies team took down Wando. Warriors fought hard. I thought in the first half that was in danger of getting away. It ended up being a lot tighter than I figured it would be. Into traffic, this ball stays on this end of the floor with 3:51 in the third quarter and a timeout on the floor. Similar to the first quarter. Frustrating to Sean McKean on QFS Transportation High School Hoops, driven by Cruz Chevrolet. Section has been lively. Very much so. They call it the Chop House. And really, it started, I don't know, with about 3-4 minutes left in the women's game.
Yeah.
They started filling in a little bit more, started getting a little bit rowdy, but it was that free throw from Bumgarner.
Yeah.
A free throw of all things, and the student section just erupts from the opposite end of the floor. The question is now, out of this timeout, can McKean get this tempo of Cane Bay back into their favor? The second quarter, I'll point this out again. It was an 8-6 game at the end of the first quarter. It was a defensive slugfest. It was played in the half court. It's exactly what Wando wanted. Second quarter starts, and it's up and down to the rim. The athleticism on display for Cane Bay. That's 4 now for Christian Smith. And it was a completely different quarter.
Another misfortune at the rim for Will Hill, but again, that's not really their offense. They don't want to just attack and shoot their first opportunity. They want to kind of play more as a team, get guys involved, get some passage between all of these players before they put up a shot. And kudos to Will Hill. He gets to the basket. He gets all the way to the rim and puts off some good shots, but not necessarily they're really what Warzinski wants them to do, especially if the ball's not going in. And again, that rim has been very unforgiving, to say the least.
Bennett Schaefer puts through a Will Lou Gray free throw. This is an unsung hero of the game. CJ Bennett Schaefer averages 5 points. He had 10 in the first meeting. He's got 8 now, coming off the bench. Kind of been a stabilizing force. He was bailed out. He was out of control, but he pays it off at the free throw line. And despite that strong surge for Wando, Davenroy finishes high off the window.
Davenroy loves that. I think that's his personal bread and butter, is get that defender on their feet, and the second they do, he knows exactly what they're going to do because he's done it 5 times already in this game. Get them up. And a strong answer right there.
Second 3 of the night for Jordan McKean, the junior who was all region last year. Sean McKean called a timeout early in the third quarter, had the benefit of the media timeout, and now it seems to have gotten through to the Cobras. 2 guys in the same spot, so it's off Bennett Schaefer's hands and out of bounds.
And going back to this Davenroy play, he loves that. Gets his guy up, takes him right to the basket. And you got Wando's help defense needs to be ready for that, but they just haven't been. So Davenroy taking advantage, or Kane Bay rather.
16-point lead.
Ooh, and that one rolls in from Davenroy. That's that three-point shooting that has really been another one of his strengths so far this year too. 44% from three, and he lets that one fly.
His first three tonight, he's got 13, and 8 of those 13 have come here in the third quarter.
From a rim who has not given these teams much, that one they needed.
A Will Lou Gray free throw here for McLeod. So 2 superstars that we talked about before the game. McLeod, 13 points a game, 3rd best in the region. Davenroy, 15 points a game to pace the region. They've combined for 27 points now, 27 on the night between the two. Dangerous ball ripped away by Will Hill. He doesn't have the numbers, and he doesn't mind.
Straight to the rim. And you got to give him some credit now. I was starting to feel a little bad for him, all these balls that have just fallen off the rim, but that one finds its home.
Will Hill's got some hops.
He's also got some speed. He did not have numbers on this one, but he just did not care.
That was a 5'9" Will Hill, and Xavier Adams at 6'2", closing in there behind him that he finished in front of. This is Tate Horn. They've gone deep to their bench. Here's Zarilla now.
Yep.
And Sean Jefferson. They don't have a starter on the floor, do they?
Doesn't look like it.
Here's Cooper Biller. He played some valuable minutes in the first half as Wando tries to rest their 5 starters. They're all with Warzinski standing on the side of the bench as a 5-second violation is called on the group on the floor.
This is perhaps something I didn't expect from Warzinski. No starters on the floor right now.
It looked like he tried to send a message because for a moment there, the 5 starters were surrounding Warzinski. They were all by the water cooler, standing at the edge of the bench. And Warzinski was calm, he was measured, but he was discussing something with his top 5. So here's the freshman Horan, the only freshman on either roster, and now Cooper Biller. Horan tries the entry pass, that's knocked away. Wando keeps it on the perimeter.
And this Kane Bay defense is just suffocating. Warriors not getting anything out of that.
Here comes the hockey line change for the Warriors. 5 guys in, 4 of which are starters. Add in Ryan Richard as well in place of Dugdale. Now Dugdale's on the floor. Ben Allen is the lone starter who is still getting a rest.
40 seconds left now in the third here. See if Kane Bay looks to utilize some clock.
Spread the floor pretty well here for this final possession. Here's McLeod, had a seam cut off by Hill. 20 seconds left in the third. Double-digit lead since midway through the second. McLeod hopped his way into the lane. It's a traveling violation.
And usually when they put all their guys on the perimeter, that's a clear way for McLeod to take his defender one-on-one. He wanted it. Hill that time blocking it off.
Here's Hill working against McLeod, who rides him 40 feet down the floor. Cooper Biller for 3. Another emphatic end to a quarter that favors the Warriors. They've cut a 16-point deficit down to 9 with 8 minutes to play in their place on QFS Transportation High School Hoops, driven by Cruz Chevrolet. Start of the fourth quarter, QFS Transportation High School Hoops, driven by Cruz Chevrolet with Natalie Spala and Darren Goldwater. Glad you're with us wherever you may be tuning in, be it on MyTV Charleston or all of the social media pages for ABC News 4. You can check out Scott Eisberg tonight at 11 o'clock in the newscast for highlights of this one and highlights of other games around the Low Country. Wando was down by 16 points there in the third quarter. Finished on a 5-0 run. They're within 9. Davenroy has paced him. He's got 13. McLeod has paced the Cobras. He's got 14. Those were the two constants. The question is, which role players step up and support the Stars? For Cane Bay, the answer's been Bennett Schaefer as Davenroy misfires to open the fourth. It's Cane Bay ball on alternating possessions.
And I'll make the case for Wando that maybe your guy coming off the bench is Cooper Biller. And look no further than the 3-point bucket to end the third quarter.
Here's McLeod. He runs right into Bumgarner, who takes it away. Bumgarner circles free. Cane Bay loses it.
And that's a defensive breakdown we don't typically see from these Cobras. Haven't seen it at all tonight. But Bumgarner saw that lane, and he took advantage. Take a look. And this defense has, been as man-on-man as really you can get from both sides, really.
See 3 Cobras in that picture, all running away from Bumgarner. It was textbook miscommunication, if there's such a thing as textbook miscommunication. Christian Smith with the finger roll. Snaps a 7-0 run for the Warriors.
Nice find right there.
That 7-0 run for Wando was their best run of the game, bettering their 5 straight points to begin the third quarter. So the best quarter of the 3 put together by the Warriors. Here's Biller from way downtown. Bennett Schaefer physically with an elbow that connects with Ryan Richard.
Great find. And that was Will Hill that needed to be in help defense, but he was on his defender on that outside. Made a wide open lane for Wood, who took advantage.
Wando played all 4 of its first region games on the road. Cane Bay has to almost duplicate that feat. Nifty, 5. Bennett Schaefer on the receiving end from Robert McLeod.
And that's how you quiet the Chop House.
Will Hill, look at the anticipation from McLeod. Takes it right away. He beat him to the spot.
Morzinski making his way to the floor now. Visibly not happy with that. I think he wanted a foul there on McLeod.
That's as impressive a defensive play as you'll see. McLeod just beats him to the spot.
Yeah. And those two have been at each other this whole night. Really a back and forth battle by just those two, but McLeod on the receiving end of that battle tonight, or in that play specifically.
Timeout comes on the heels of 6 straight points for the Cobras. They led by 16. Their lead was trimmed down to 7. It's back out to 13. As McKean's club tries to continue to add firsts to their list of firsts this year. They've got their most wins of all time, 16 of them. They've beaten Somerville, West Ashley, and Goose Creek. They've never done any of those things. And they're in position, if they can finish the region out strong, to win the region championship at the 5A level for the first time. It'll come down to the 3-team race. It's Wando, it's Cane Bay, and it's Goose Creek. All of them are 3-1 through the first round of region play. Ben Allen will trigger it in for the Warriors. Davenroy sets a screen. It frees up Will Hill all the way to the rim for Hill.
And that was perhaps the most space Hill has gotten all night, and thanks to his guy setting a screen for him.
Allen swipes it away. It's 5-on-4, and it's a clean look for Richard.
Ooh.
Cobra ball. Again, it's Bennett Schaefer under there.
Yep, that screen. Defense just a half a second too late. Hill gets all the way to the bucket.
McLeod stumbles down, beats the 10-second violation, and a foul committed by Ryan Richard. The 20 will want back.
McKean looks like he crossed himself over. Just moving too quick right there.
Cooper Biller in for Richard. A Will Lou Gray free throw coming to McLeod here. A rich tradition of individualized learning. McLeod leads all scorers with 14. And those are his first points of the fourth quarter. McKean said McLeod, it's almost as though he has a battery pack on his back. He said he could play the entire game if McKean didn't take him out sometime.
And it sure looks like that tonight. And from that play right there.
We have to name a player of the game after the game. And obviously McLeod has a strong case for it, but I'm telling you, Bennett Schaefer is going to have a hard time taking that, in my mind, away from him. Assuming this is a Cane Bay win. Here's Hill drawing the foul inside on Xavier Adams.
You know, we are up for a tough task finding a player of the game for this one, because Bennett Schaefer, he was put into a role he doesn't typically do every game. He came in when Christian Smith went out with foul trouble and stepped up. And in several instances was really the calm his team needed when the tempo got a little too fast. They needed to calm things down, get back to the offense that they're used to running. He's been more of this wave of hey guys, let's play our game. And that means everything to a coach when one of your starters is in some trouble.
The senior Hill hits 1 out of 2. Four and a half to go from Wando on Alexis Glover Court, named after the legendary volleyball coach here. It's hard for me to believe this gym's been open for 16, 17 years. This school that moved up into North Mount Pleasant feels a lot more recent than that. Up ahead, there's the finish for Adams. Here's Davenroy turned away by Adams. A play on both ends of the floor for Adams.
And this was the guy that McKean said he had coached since he was 7 years old. He said it's been an honor coaching these guys and really watching them not only transform as players, but really young men.
Adams is the only 4-year starter on this group that's loaded with seniors. 14-point lead, inside 4 to play, and another turnover. Here's Quentin Dugdale. Bumgarner through contact, finishes up against Xavier Adams.
And getting out in transition isn't really something we've seen from this Wando team, but tonight, or right here in this play, they're taking advantage. Let's take a look. This was the Adams throwdown.
And a 12-point lead on QFS Transportation High School Hoops, driven by Cruz Chevrolet. Point lead for Cane Bay. The lead swelled at 1 point out to 17. It got down as close as 7 for Wierzinski's group. Now they're down 12 with 3 to play, and an and-one opportunity coming for Andy Bumgarner here, who just finished at the rim through contact from Xavier Adams.
And you have to wonder, time is really going to start playing a factor in this one. I'll make an argument to say that momentum's on this Wando side right now, but they've only got 3 minutes to go.
Cane Bay's shown the ability to spread the floor out. They've adjusted much better since the first quarter to the half-court offensive sets.
And it
looks like they're going to be the ones kind of using this clock to their advantage, but not when you turn the ball over. Ooh.
They had it. Instead, it goes to Christian Smith. He's got 6.
He got lucky.
McLeod almost did it again. Almost beat the ball handler to the spot. In this half, we already saw him take one away from Hill. That 3 slides off the mark from Dugdale. Underneath Davin Roy, out to 15 points.
And that's what he averages a game, so he's done exactly what essentially he's supposed to, what he's used to out here. Ooh.
Open underneath, Bennett Schaefer with the reverse. It looked good for Bennett Schaefer. It was the find that opened it up. Here's Christian Smith. That foul occurred well back.
And this place might have exploded if that foul wasn't drawn, because this crowd is feeling it over here on the Cane Bay side.
A lot of the support, the vocal support that you're hearing from Cane Bay side is less than a foot behind us, and it's the Cane Bay women's team that already dispatched to the Wando women earlier tonight. Just like the men, they're having a heck of a year. Things are going well on the hardwood for Cane Bay. The foul was on the floor. The most recent dunk never happened, so free throws for Christian Smith. Will Lou Gray Opportunity School. A rich tradition of individualized learning. One of 3 top 10 region scorers on this Cane Bay team is Christian Smith. He's the 3rd leading scorer on the team. And he is 10th in the region as he hits a couple of free throws.
And we're under 2 minutes to go now, so this Wando team's got to make something happen.
And still with the big lead. Notice Cane Bay out pressuring defensively. There is nothing that has changed about the mindset of the Cane Bay team except spreading the floor when they settle into the half court. And they're heading back to the line now.
And this is really perhaps an advantage that this Cane Bay team has over this Wando team. Wando, they want to move the ball. They want to utilize all 5 players on the floor. But we've seen Cane Bay kind of do both. They can move the ball. They can all kind of play that role in playing a role in a certain play, but they can also take you one-on-one and go right to the basket. It's something we've seen McLeod do all night, and it has been a big reason for this lead here too.
I have Bennett Schaefer for 12, now 13. I'm a little bit off with the total score, so that is definitely unofficial, but it's close.
We'll take it.
And that'll be a foul on Bennett Schaefer. Minute 22 to play. There have been spurts from Wando. It was a slow first quarter. If you missed that, it was just an 8-6 lead for Cane Bay after 8 minutes. After that first quarter, Cane Bay managed to dictate tempo for the majority of the game. There were some spurts in there from Wando, but non-sustainable spurts because of the style of play, still continuing to play into Cane Bay's hands because of McLeod and because of Bennett Schaefer.
Yeah.
There he is again. Not tracking rebounds, but I'd be surprised if he's not close to a double-double. There he is again, grabbing the loose ball.
He has really been,
everywhere.
all over the floor.
Give him an assist to Christian Smith.
Have yourself a day. I'll be interested, not that Darren's not doing a great job over here, but I'll be interested to see the official stat line from this game, because that guy right there on your screen, he's been all over it.
Jordan McKean giving it back to the Wando student section a little bit. And look, if you're going to dish it out, you should be able to take it back. They were on him at the end of the first half.
I think it's fair. Why not?
Nothing out of bounds. There were no grotesque gestures or anything like that. All in good sportsmanship.
Yeah. Having some fun with it.
Largest lead of the game. Warriors have gone to their bench. Here's Rhett Norris. Bouncing one underneath, and that's Costello.
Final seconds now.
Cane Bay will make the trip and North Mount Pleasant and come away with a pair of victories. The ladies and the men will come here to Wando, a place the Warriors hadn't played in 20 days. And despite, at times, what was a pretty raucous chop house.
Yes.
And a couple of runs back in their face from the Warriors. The Cobras will survive that. They will avenge the loss. A loss that happened 5 games ago now, and it's 5 straight wins for Sean McKean and the Cane Bay Cobras. And they take yet another step towards another first region championship.
And it's something you think has to be just very, very possible for this team. 9th in the state right now in 5A. Those rankings came out just this morning. Something special is happening over here on this Cane Bay side. And whether it's I mean, success is not something that really happens in one season or two, but McKean has done an excellent job at keeping these guys engaged.
Second free throw from McLeod, inching up on a 20-point night. And that'll do it. So Wando will drop its 3rd straight. Cane Bay will win 5 in a row. Ever since their loss to Wando, the Cobras are perfect. They'll run their record to 17-6. And a little more separation starting to show up with 3 region games left for both the Cobras and the Warriors. First season on the bench is the headman for Sean McKean after 5 years as an assistant. And he's got something working for the Cobras. Your final score, 60-43. We'll get you back for a trophy presentation. We'll tag our player of the game, and we'll send you on out of here on QFS Transportation High School Hoops, driven by Cruz Chevrolet. our congratulations to Cane Bay. They win this 60-43, their 5th consecutive win. Our player of the game is C.J. Bennett Schaefer. Coach, I'll get one thought from you here on Bennett Schaefer. McLeod does what he does offensively. He's the star that we expected. But then you need a role guy to step up. Bennett Schaefer was everywhere, man.
Oh, yeah. He came in there, gave us a lot of rebounds, gave us a lot of help on defense. They got a couple guys that are really good. They can get to the basket really easy. And he came in there, stood his ground, got us really good rebounds on their shots, limiting them to just one shot. So that was huge. Our defense was key. We talked about pregame. We talked about before in the interview and everything. Our defense was, if we can play our game, we have a good shot at winning. Great Wando team. This place is tough to play. It's crazy up in here.
It is crazy up in here,
yes.
Coach. We'll let you get these guys back into the locker room.
Okay.
Avoid some of this craziness. Have a good trip back. Congratulations on the start.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, guys. Thank you.
Cane Bay avenges the loss to Wando 5 games ago. They've won 5 straight games now, and they did it on the strength of Rob McLeod, Bennett Schaefer, Jordan McKean as well. Christian Smith drops in 10. For Natalie Spalla and our entire crew, I'm Darren Goldwater. Highlights of this one and around the low country high school sports scene with Scott Eisberg tonight, ABC News 4 at 11. This has been QFS Transportation High School Hoops, driven by Cruz Chevrolet.